game going too.
You have to keep us updated on the score. Hello, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me first remind you that we are covered by the BIPCOT no government license, which allows for the use and reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for government and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also protected by Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything we say here on Anarchy Among Friends is like 99-ish% hypothetical.
We're talking about Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Like
although we might have to use that later, might have to bring it up again because we will be talking about sedition, which will be fun.
Yeah.
From the guy that protected Lon Harachi. Yeah. Fuck that guy. But
There's the doink doink though. We haven't used that in a while. We've needed it a couple times too.
no,
Andrew will have it ready.
Andrew was too busy putting batteries into his smoke dick or whatever the fuck it's called, vape, whatever it is.
It's either this or I'm smoking cigarettes, and this is less likely to kill me as quickly. So, go in this direction.
I was gonna say, where's the usual cigar?
I'm out. I haven't been able to go get more yet. Just been too busy, man. I gotta work. I got adult stuff to do.
When the solar flare comes through and an EMP and it just fries all these electronics, there's going to be so many angry hipsters that don't know how to that won't have their vapes anymore.
Oh,
yeah, but they'll still be able to type up letters on their mechanical fucking typewriters.
Yeah,
But they won't be able to sit in a coffee shop anymore though because the lights will be out.
That's true. They'll probably still sit there, even though there's no fucking coffee.
They can sit in their dead Priuses and
yeah,
Try to brew their coffee over a Coleman camp stove with a percolator.
Hey, speaking of fucking electric cars, Jason.
Yes.
Can you please do something about that shit where you live?
Fucking insanity.
Like my favorite part about that thing, it's like it doesn't number one, doesn't go into effect till like 2035. Right, but then the flip side is it only bans new sales. Like used vehicles are fine, and it's not going to ban like possession or use or anything.
I'll tell you what, in 2035, when I have a used car to sell, I'm taking it to California because I know I'm going to get top fucking dollar in California.
That's what it is. Like you buy a brand new car in Reno, you put it in the garage for 6 months, drive it across the border.
Yep. Sell it for like a 20% markup. Yeah.
That's the same thing that they do with Japanese cars a lot, where because you can't import them till they're 25 years old or older. So you buy them, leave them in storage in Japan until it hits 25 years, and then ship them over. So then you can turn around and sell them in the U.S. for a shit ton of money because they're worth an enormous amount because they're not here. So you can get like the GTRs now, the R32 GTRs, and I've seen like 4 of them driving around La Crosse already at the R32.
Like,
holy crap!
Like 25-year-old cars with like 5 miles on them.
Boy, this is in great shape. Well, it's just been in hermetically sealed garage.
Do you see how fucking useless this shit is, though? Like, the dude put all this effort into pushing through this fucking law to save the fucking planet, and the 4 of us, the biggest fucking dumbasses on the web, figured out how to get around it in like 30 seconds flat.
Not only that, but like we have a crumbling electric infrastructure. Right, with PG&E starting fires. Right, there's a fire burning in Southern California right now that that they're investigating and are the it's looking like the electric company in Southern California started this fire with faulty equipment.
Jesus.
So like the campfire and PG&E's transformer blowing, starting that, and
yeah, it's like Southern California Edison or something like that. I don't remember the exactly what it's called down there because
And y'all have like
Fuck the
fucking
desert.
rolling blackouts and shit like that.
rolling blackouts and brownouts and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
But now
But-
everybody
yeah.
has to buy an electric car, even though we haven't updated our freaking infrastructure.
Yeah, we have no way for you to
And-
charge it. But you have to
And
use
more
it.
than that, we absolutely refuse to, even investigate the possibility of using nuclear energy to sum up the gaps from all this green stuff.
Well, did you
Yep.
see the?
Well, no,
thing that
and
posted?
we can even go a step further than that because they also banned fireplaces in new home construction, and
Right.
so like you can't really cut firewood, so you got all these dead standing trees that cause fires. The infrastructure or the infrastructure which causes fires, and then the dead standing trees make the fires worse, which causes more damage to the electrical grid due to equipment being destroyed.
Well, at least when all the electric grid burns down, they'll have to rebuild it, and hopefully,
But you guys,
somewhat
you guys,
better.
you guys. All liberals know though, it's the thought that counts. Leave them alone. It's the thought that counts.
It's
Man,
the thought that counts, like San Francisco suing drug dealers.
Yes.
I didn't put that on the queue, but you guys want to bring that up?
Are you Ray Ray? Yeah, you have been served.
Fucking
When I
California.
saw that shit come up, man, I was like, "This has got to be the most ludicrous thing I've ever
It's just
seen."
gotten to that level of absurdity. They're just like, well, maybe we can stop it if we sue them. No one's tried that before. Yeah, because it's fucking retarded.
It's already illegal, but let's sue them to stop doing an illegal activity. And yeah, it was just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
I gotta bring that article up now because
fucking California, man. Oh.
Well, and then and then you have all these Californians that pack up, leave California because they're so mad about all this stuff, go to new states, and then try to push through the exact same shit in the new state.
which is
Yes.
so retarded.
Yes.
people from
Yeah.
California, I've determined people from California and
Some
massive
people from
leftists in
California.
general.
Some
Okay,
people
the majority of the population of California.
okay. Find out.
They are the clinical definition of insane.
Yeah, I know. Keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
All right.
Yeah.
So
They've already fucking poisoned my home state. Like, there's almost no point in even fucking moving there anymore.
Washington.
Seattle did that. The whole I-5 corridor, like if everything west of I-5 just disappeared, it would be a lot better. But I'm
That's where my family lives, though.
so do I.
You're still just like
He's willing to sacrifice himself
Come on,
on
San
an altar.
Andreas.
I'll swing Thor's hammer on the.
Yeah.
On the
I think
San Andreas
might be
fault.
going into the ocean. Yes.
Yes.
All right. San Francisco sues 28 alleged drug dealers to keep them out of a drug-ridden neighborhood.
What the fuck?
The city of San Francisco has sued 28 drug dealers. It says openly ply their trade in the section of the Tenderloin neighborhood. City officials have said the area covered by the lawsuit is a frequent site of public drug use. Quote, you see people who are pushing strollers, mothers who have to go out into the streets and go around drug dealers and the drug using. Mayor London Breed, and it makes a point of saying she's a Democrat, said, quote, San Francisco has become the place to sell drugs. It is known widely, and that has to stop.
Has become.
Has become like
So, rather than take a look at the policies of San Francisco, which are largely responsible for creating this environment, rather than take any fucking responsibility for the shit Democrats have done to that fucking city for decades, they're just going to sue the drug dealers to try to make them stop.
The lawsuit. The lawsuit would bar the defendants from 50 blocks.
That's one.
Yeah,
and
we got
section
one.
of the adjacent South of Market neighborhood, the AP reported. Violations could bring $6,000 fines, arrest on misdemeanor charges, and seizure of their assets.
How are you going to seize their assets when their assets are fucking drugs and cash.
Hold on. This is the best part. This is the best part. This is a quote from San Francisco City Attorney Dennis Herrera. Quote, "These lawsuits won't solve the problems themselves, but they are a step worth taking."
They're steps
Why?
worth.
What?
Oh
That's
my
the
God.
same shit that you keep seeing from government lately. I mean, well, kind of always, but especially lately, it's really come to the front where they're like, "Well, at least we're trying to do something." It's like if somebody was in a car and the car was hanging off of a cliff and you're trying to save them, and instead of like trying to pull the car back, you just like started throwing rocks off the cliff to going, well, eventually it'll build up into a big pile that'll stop the car from falling. And then somebody's like, "That's never gonna work."
The cliff is crumbling under the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, at least I tried something. Well, but it wasn't useful.
Yeah.
But since when has government actually been useful, though?
No, it's not. It's
No.
not. But speaking of places the rest of us don't fucking understand, don't we have a article about splitting the U.S. up into different countries?
Yes, it's an op-ed. Hold on, let me bring it up.
Most professional segue ever. Right there.
Yeah. I'm all over it. Yeah.
She is a segue machine.
Yeah.
We will leave that to your imagination as to what that really means.
Aren't those the scooters?
I'm the Segway queen. Leave me alone. I'm high. Damn it.
That's allowed. That's
it's an op-ed on the Inquirer, which I believe is out of Philadelphia.
Not the Inquirer, but like
not the National Enquirer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the National. Although, how could you tell any?
No
You know,
aliens,
right?
Yeah.
No aliens were harmed in the making of this op-ed.
Or Bat Boys.
Yeah, we're Bad Boys. I still want a Bad Boy T-shirt. Damn it,
All right.
they were selling those a few years ago, man.
All right, America is over. Let's just split into different countries. Now to predecess
America's been over.
Yeah.
Sorry.
To predecess this article, there is a story out of Outsider, Business Insider magazine, from the 4th of July, that says that shows that the how the U.S. is really 11 separate nations with entirely different cultures.
At least.
Right, like the extreme West Coast is one culture, and then like Central California to like Nebraska and Arizona and New Mexico, Utah, right? They're one culture. And then you got like the southern tip of California, the southern Arizona, southern New Mexico, parts of Texas, which are like another one. Then you got the south and the deep south, and then there's like the Bayou, Pacific, the northeast, and then there's like the north,
the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, the Mid-Atlantic. There's like the North Central, and then there's the Plains areas. So it's
Well, yeah, and usually when I see those, I always see like the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes area get lumped into Yankeedom with the Northeast, or the Northeast, and I'm like, what? Have you ever been? Yeah, like, are you kidding me?
There's
nobody's ever been there. That's why they still think that, because fucking nobody's been there
ever.
Yeah, that's what you're combined with a Yankeedom on this one.
Yeah, see what I mean? See what I mean? Yeah. We keep getting combined, and there is no similarities.
They're like Wisconsin. What the fuck is what? Yeah. Anybody know what a Wisconsin is? All right, we'll just give it to this one.
And then Derica would be in the Tidewater.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then between the Tidewater and your Yankeedom, there would be the Midlands, which somehow was a thing. Okay. Then there's Greater Appalachia, and then there's the Deep South, and then like the tip of the boot would be like New France.
Oh, like New Orleans and yeah.
But I mean, like it's so funny. I just think it's funny that like they took so much time to carefully deconstruct the South and the West, and then they get up to the northern part of the country, and they're like, this.
Nobody
have no idea.
Nobody knows anything about these states. We'll just fucking give them to the Northeast.
Meanwhile,
Just keep it
everybody that's
all-
here's like, from North Dakota or from the Dakotas over to us, include Michigan, just to hell with Illinois.
Include
But
Michigan or Illinois.
Unfortunately,
I really don't
the
want either
upper
one
part-
of those.
I don't
the
think anybody
the upper
actually
peninsula of
wants
Michigan.
Illinois. I don't think any
No,
region wants
Illinois
to
can
claim
go to
Illinois.
hell.
Illinois wins its own thing because everyone's like, no.
We don't want it.
Weird thing, and the weird
Let's
thing
just
about
dig
Illinois
that as a
is
big lake.
in northern,
Yeah.
northern Illinois is
The
like
sixth
one
Great
thing.
Lake, Lake Illinois.
Take it all out. And fill it in. It's done. It's just no. But leave Chicago as a penal colony island. Like it's
There you
just-
go.
Like Alcatraz, the
itself.
Alcatraz
Yeah,
of the Great
just-
Lakes.
Escape from
just
LA.
Chicago. No, that's where is that? You must never go there, Simba.
It's like fucking Arkham Island. It's like the U.S.'s fucking Arkham Island.
It's the elephant
It's from-
graveyard.
I would say from what probably what's South Chicago suburbs like. I know Aurora and stuff, but that's like
Champagne.
Champaign, I guess, from like Champaign all the way up. I would say all the way up to Kenosha.
Yeah.
You just that whole area, just carve that out and leave it
Just-
there.
Just fucking dig them out. Dig them
Yes.
out. Cut
Just
them
a
off.
big
Set 'em
giant
adrift in the Great
Big
Lakes.
giant geographical dick, right there.
Like
Just no
Florida,
one-
but colder.
Yeah, no one wants anything to do with those people. Ever. So just leave it there.
All right, so yeah, that article's linked in the description.
Yeah.
I don't care because I don't want to read that whole article. We're just gonna get back into the Inquirer one.
Okay.
All right, America's over. Let's just split into different countries. George Washington once wrote, quote, "The establishment of our new government seemed to be the last great experiment for promoting human happiness. Judging by the state of the country today, I wonder if Mr. Washington would like to rephrase that. The country has gone through many periods of strife in my time here: assassinations, recessions, desegregation, inflation, gas crisis, Watergate, hanging chads, the AIDS crisis, 9/11. Maybe it's the 24/7 news cycle or the immediacy of the social media that makes the landscape seem so bleak, but I don't recall us ever being so divided."
Now hang on. I
Nope.
just want to say
What?
one thing. If George Washington could see the state of this country today, he'd rephrase a lot of fucking things.
Yes. Yes.
I think it would. He needs to be a little more specific about what he means by certain things. And
Yeah.
Something
Okay.
along the lines of "Y'all better be stacking bodies," or
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
By now, George
Yeah.
Washington.
Let's
Could you-
start with just
could you imagine
rewording the Second Amendment.
Imagine the founding fathers trying to watch a political debate.
Have you ever read the text of political debates in the 18th century?
They were actual political debates, speaking opinion and fact and all this other stuff.
And
It
they
is-
were erudite and they were fucking well spoken.
Well, and they were like fucking venomous too. Like
Yeah.
they would be fucking venomous at people on the opposing sides. It
Oh,
was just
yeah.
like I don't know
Yeah.
what kind of a complete moron, an absolute drooling knuckle dragging Neanderthal would
dudes-
think this.
These dudes used to go out at dawn and settle a beef with another dude by just standing there and fucking shooting at each other.
I for one
fucking- that's how
support for
Hamilton
tactical
fucking
pistol
died.
solutions.
That's how Hamilton died.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I support
You
for
know?
tactical pistol solutions.
Yeah.
Solving political debates the right way.
Yeah. These dudes, these are people who would stand out in the fucking dawn mist and shoot at each other just standing still
Well
from like
dressed,
fucking
well
yeah,
dressed,
Well
from
done.
like 20
Hair
paces
done up.
apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
total
Yep.
gentleman about it.
And they were still tearing each other to pieces on the debate platforms. Like they didn't give a shit what they said to each other. I mean, that's okay. The founders fucked a lot of things up, but that's big dick energy that you just don't see these days in politics.
Just you know that if you insult this guy, he's probably gonna try to literally kill you, and you're
Yeah.
still
Right.
just like, you know what, you fucking suck. How about
Yeah.
Arms,
Yeah.
arms society,
Bring it.
polite
Bring
society.
it.
Meanwhile,
Alright,
wasn't it over in Britain not that long ago? They had a guy who requested a trial by combat.
Yes, he did. I demand trial by combat. Like, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him.
They told him no, bastards.
I know.
I was
holy shit.
disappointed.
Alright.
Think about how much money you could make televising.
Oh yeah.
Just
And that's how they
Just-
should raise taxes. Like if they want to raise revenue, they should have fucking political death matches and fucking do pay-per-view. And
Yep.
that's how they should raise revenue to fund the fucking government.
you
Debate
fucking-
dome. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a pistol duel though between Trump and Biden? I'm the best shot, the greatest, just the greatest shot in the world. Everyone knows it. Fantastic. And meanwhile,
Fucking
Biden's like
Biden.
trying to like gnaw on the barrel of the gun and
Turns
No.
turns his high point sideways. Corn pop taught me this one.
Turns to his second and starts sniffing him.
just
I stand by it. In that case, it would have to be cap and ball, but they can reload.
Yeah, see, because in traditional duels, you got one shot. You had one fucking shot.
Yeah.
depending
Alright.
on the duel.
Yeah.
Duels where you actually got really like
The legitimacy of government aside, I would be in favor of like a Hunger Games type of format to select
Yeah.
our political leaders.
Yeah, that's what
select
I've
the
always thought.
president, like the last one standing.
Yeah,
I have the tiger
that's like
plays in the background.
MXC. Like
Yeah.
fucking MXC, but with deadly shit.
Yeah. I have the tiger plays in the background as the American flag is unfurled behind them.
And they have to make it across the obstacle course or they'll fall in the fucking acid.
All right. Back to
Shit
our
like that.
randomly
Um,
like tigers and
Yeah.
you could donate money for the right to throw one of the balls. That's what it is. Like
Like American Gladiators, those
American
fucking
Gladiators,
like
yeah.
arrow thing, the arrow cannons.
oh, it looks like Harris is pinned down by the machine gun. Let's see how she gets past this.
no, it'd be sponsored by the Amazon.com fast shipping machine gun. The McDonald's guillotine is coming into play.
Everything's sponsored. There's logos.
Brought to you by Carl's Jr. Monday Night Rehabilitation.
Oh,
At that point, you know the White House has moved to the castle in Disneyland. Like, you know,
the Tesla electrical Tesla electrical tigers. All right.
they've been
whole
up
car
this
is
year's
shaking
stand.
Oh,
I
we
would
get
pay
pres-
so much money to watch that.
You get a pretty badass present, but he'd like be missing a few digits on a hand and probably have an eyeball hanging. And I win.
The Ford.com Gladiator has saved the Democratic candidate. All right. Back to the article. Quote, no one in our country seems happy today. The right is angry, the left is despondent. Our nation reminds me of those married couples who try to stay together, quote, for the children, but end up making everyone around them miserable. Can't argue with that.
Yeah,
No.
but they're the married couple that stays together for the children as the children try to fix them up on dates with other people. It's just
Yeah.
oh, God, please. Just
Yeah, they stay together even though the children are like, no, please,
yeah.
God, just split up already. Holy shit.
The LP.com BB gun. All right. Maybe it's time for a breakup. Yes, I know a few southern states tried this before and it did not turn out too well. I'm thinking about something a little less bloody, like Brexit. Well, that's fucking boring.
yeah, but Brexit isn't going to stay non-bloody here at the rate they're going.
No.
It's
No,
been,
it's not.
it's been what, like 6 years they've been.
Well, and
Yeah.
yeah, but they just pulled out of their agreement on the Irish backstop and are going to harden the border.
Yeah, and now all their politicians that were like all for Brexit, now they're all fucking like, well, I was never in favor of this. They're all like stepping
Yeah, like,
back.
right.
All right. America has had a nice run. We won 2 world wars, gave the world the automobile, nuclear power, the internet, and put men on the moon. Now it's
We
time
didn't give the world the automobile.
now it just may be time to admit that our country has jumped the shark. We used to be the beacon of freedom for the world. Now we are the ones with children in cages, paramilitary on the streets of our cities, and are being monitored by Amnesty International. We used to oversee other countries' elections. Now they want to monitor ours. We used to be the place people ran for safety. Now we are the pariahs of the world. Our passports unable to take us almost anywhere.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, you enjoy your American passports. And they're going to work out real well for you.
Yeah, fuck you,
I have
Irishman.
an alternative.
Well, some of us. Yeah. Honestly, would breaking up the United States really be that bad of a thing? California could stand alone. They are already the 5th largest economy in the world. So could Texas, Florida, and New York. We have seen as the federal coronavirus response failed, states already breaking into groups for survival. That could be the beginning of something that finally makes us happy. Our current situation leaves us with a feeling of futility as the ground constantly changes beneath our feet. George W. Bush,
George W.
Bish, please. Bish.
George W. Bush did not like the Kyoto Protocol and pulled us out. Barack Obama believed in climate change and supported the Paris Accord. Donald Trump does not and pulls us out. Joe Biden will make us reverse course and support it again. The next Republican will most likely pull us back out again. Is this any way to run a government?
Nope.
And people are just as
But
frustrated.
there's no way to run a government, so
there's no way to run a government. Yeah. And people are just as frustrated. An August NBC News Wall Street Journal poll finds that 70% of Americans are angry at a political system that is just not working for them. Dissatisfaction with the government may be something we can all agree on, but it seems like the only thing. Some believe we are in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, while others think it's a hoax. There are some who want kids to go back to school in the middle of all this, while others don't. Some deplore the tearing down of statues and decry the Black Lives Matter effort, while others rejoice it. Yes, there have always been differences among us, but in the ages of QAnon, the deep state, and other such conspiracy theories, the rift seems insurmountable.
So now, hang on a second. 70% of Americans, roughly, agree that the entire system is fucked.
Yeah.
So why do you still see what about 52% of Americans flock to the polls to continue to feed the exact same fucking system that's fucked?
Because they don't follow the fucking logic to its conclusion. They never bother to.
Well, they never even think about it. That's the thing. Like that was on one of Nick's threads on the podcast formerly known as Enemy of the States thing Podstash, and still known that way on Facebook because they won't let him change it because he has too many violations. Which he didn't realize until after he went to change the podcast.
Nick, you're our hero.
Facebook can't delete your profile if it's under federal investigation.
Is that why we still have ours?
That's why we're still up there.
Why I'm still active. That's why our page is still up too. It's just we had somebody that commented on it. I'm an admin on that page, and somebody commented on it because on his non-voting thing, this thing about not voting, and like through the whole thread, this guy just completely like he's just parroting. Like as soon as we're like, well, no, you shouldn't vote because it's participating in this, he goes, oh well, you guys are initially he accuses us all of being Chinese or Russian bots, which is great.
Oh yeah, I saw a screenshot of that.
Yeah, but the rest of the thread is so much better because he just kept going and just so your solution is riots and burning things down. Well, no, literally no one has said that. I don't know why you guys all just want to destroy everything. Well, no, we literally no one here has even suggested any kind of like rioting or
literally built a whole straw man army.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, and he just kept going back to it, and finally, I was just like, I ended it with it going, Jesse, are the looters and rioters in the room with us right now?
Jesus.
Point to the men in masks.
Yeah.
See, what I don't get, though, about this idea of splitting the U.S. up into separate countries, first of all, I don't get how you're going to keep all these countries from fucking going to war with each other because we're Americans and it's what we fucking do.
Well, you won't.
So we're going to end up at war with all the other fucking countries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see,
What-
but that's
what was
So
that
and then
show,
second,
Revolution?
second,
what
there's maybe
Where
how
they-
is splitting it into different countries going to help? Because there are so many people from both, all three, all four, whatever different camps here, all in the same locations. Are you suggesting that we fucking ship people to the country that fucking fits their ideals the best? Because it's not
Well,
just regional.
Well, you see
Well, it looks
the,
like
the
you're in
west
this,
the West region and Yankeedom team, right? That's what we're gonna be, right? And the Tidelands, we're gonna create a truce, right? I have no idea.
It's well, I mean, the thing is Americans seem to not realize, like, if you compare the size of the United States to continental Europe, all of continental Europe will fit east of the Mississippi in the United States. All of it.
Most of the states, most of the Western states in the U.S. are larger than some of these countries in Europe.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Germany would fit entirely within Texas. So, like, and it's one of the bigger ones. So,
Yeah.
just to put in perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and
like
those
I
are
think the
all-
Pacific Northwest, Oregon and Washington, I think it's about the size of Germany if you put them together.
Yeah, I mean, and so, like, I think that because people in the United States are so used to these huge distances and we have so much room here and everything else, you forget how small all of these countries that have existed for thousands of years in Europe actually are. And they have gone to war with each other continuously, and they have done all these things constantly, and then now have finally reached sort of a detente with each other and formed the European Union, which is essentially trying to turn Europe into a country like the United States.
Yeah, United States. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people don't
I
realize
would like to say really quick though that I have not forgotten how much open space there is in the U.S. I just fucking drove it twice.
Yeah, people don't understand like how big the California, for example. Like I can get in a car right now and drive south for like 6 hours and not hit the Mexico border.
Right.
Like I'll
Right.
still be like a couple hundred miles north of the Mexico border. Except LA's like 300 miles from me. So yeah, 6 hours I end up in LA, which is a couple hours north of the border. So
Right.
like,
But I mean,
you drive 300 miles, you drive 6 hours in Germany, right? I mean, you cross what, half the country?
If you're driving, yeah, and depending on the direction you're going, and
Yeah.
I mean that's the thing, like, because
Mm-hmm.
like I can remember telling Lindsay about, like, oh well, we'd go from from my hometown to like Nice and stuff in the south of France, on holiday and things, and she's like, well, that seems like really far, and I'm like, that's literally the same distance as if I wanted to go from here to like St. Louis.
Yeah.
So it's not that
It's a-
far
yeah,
for
and
American perspective.
For us to get to St. Louis is about 10 hours.
And it took me 5 hard days of driving, long fucking days of driving to get from Virginia to Oregon. 5
And
of
that
them.
driving,
Oh, yeah.
and driving that kind of distance in Europe is unheard of. Like, nobody does it because you have to cross. I mean, you would have crossed driving that every single country in continental Europe, and then proceeded into Russia and probably gotten almost to Moscow. So,
Yeah. Right.
you were going a very long way.
Like from
The
fucking
idea-
Normandy to Moscow. That's how
Just
far I fucking
shooting
drew.
across.
Yeah,
Like,
that's.
I mean, fortunately, you weren't in tanks. And
Right.
It is.
And,
it is.
and that was all in the same fucking country.
All right, from my house to Washington D.C.,
Mhm.
2,789 miles.
Yep.
41 hours of driving.
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, it's
Oof.
absolutely mind-blowing. The only other countries that can even kind of wrap their heads around it, Australia,
Canada.
Russia.
Canada, and Russia, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
No one else has that kind of room. They just plain and simple
Maybe Brazil.
do not.
Brazil's
Yeah, I mean, well,
approaching it.
Brazil does,
I mean-
but I think Brazil, it's a little artificially people don't.
Most of it's uninhabited.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
yeah.
people don't travel as far because
People don't live in the fucking Amazon.
Well, I mean, you could probably do that in Alaska too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alaska is almost basically the same size as the
Yeah.
lower
All right.
48.
If we broke up into different countries, then perhaps folks could finally find the answers they've been looking for. Don't want to
Nope.
have to go to Starbucks without the comfort of an AR-15? We have a country for that. Want to have gun-free environment where your children can go to school without bullet-resistant backpacks? Yeah, we
That's
have a country for
impossible.
that too.
No.
Just think about it, America. I know breaking up is hard to do. We used to be good together. But what is the point of having, quote, the greatest country in the world if none of us actually like it?
One, it's not the
Well,
greatest country in the world, and it's not even close. I don't know that I would put it even in the top 5, to be honest with you. But
And all countries suck anyways. It's not like,
Yeah.
you know.
but it's like
It's just the detriment of having a central authority.
Yep.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, just keep in mind, though, again, like, I understand why that seems like a really good idea to a lot of people and stuff, but you got to remember that if you still have governments, they naturally tend towards reconsolidating power anyway.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'm looking through the comments just for shits and giggles. The root cause of the problem is the rise of Fox News.
Huh?
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Would somebody put their grandmother back to bed? Jesus.
Yeah.
Guys, get your moms off the fucking internet.
Someone come get your mom.
Damn it, Boomer.
Fucking boomers. I was just gonna
Well,
say that.
he did use the 2 World War line in the article.
Right.
So
Right.
Two-time World War champs, baby.
2-time world champs. Hell, motherfucking yeah.
As opposed to Germany, 2-time losers.
Yeah. But Japan only had to be told once.
Yeah, they only really. Well, they were on the America's side the first time.
Yeah.
And then we're like, I think I could take them. Nope.
2 black eyes made them change their mind real quick.
I was just thinking of that joke when you tell a woman with 2 black eyes. Nothing, you already told her twice.
And you call a nation with.
that's timing because yesterday was the anniversary of Bill Cosby going to jail.
Oh, jeez.
Oh lord.
Oh,
We're all going to hell.
We already were.
That's
We
true.
have a reserved corner
Hi.
table.
I'm in California.
Yeah.
yeah.
We have a reserved booth.
But I don't hate the idea of that article.
I mean,
No,
it
I
makes-
mean,
but
I'm
at the
all
same-
for succession.
Yeah. Well, but
Yeah.
at the same time, again, it's governments are going to try and reconsolidate power. And what if we've learned anything from Europe and all of its bullshit? It's that process takes a long time and a lot of bloodshed before it happens again. And then we're right back where we are right now.
Yep.
So, how about rather than trying to like unplug America and plug it back in a different way, maybe we just unplug it and just let
Leave it
go.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, just let it go. There hasn't been any brain activity that's measurable for a while. Like, it's time.
It's
to let
fucking
it go.
flatlined.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let it move on.
Pull the plug. Pull the plug. Pull the plug and read the fucking will. That's all there is left to do.
There's no will.
No, I know. It's all debt. It's all fucking
There's
debt.
nothing
It's
left
all
to
debt.
give to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
To my son, I leave $400 million of crippling debt.
Yeah.
Oh, to you
Each
taxpayers.
American, I leave $80,000 of debt that you must pay.
Yeah.
What is the
now?
taxpayer pay per share on the national debt right now?
I want to say it's like 60 something thousand.
No, it's higher than that.
No, it's 60,000, I think, or 60 to 80 if you count every man, woman, and child in the fucking country.
Year.
Not just
No.
taxpayers.
Per citizen, 81,159.
Yeah.
The national
per
Yeah.
taxpayer, $214,845.
Jesus.
And climbing daily.
Yep.
rapidly.
These
Super
numbers move
sustainable.
So fast.
It's almost as sustainable as we are
20
professional.
26,810.
Almost.
Oh,
And that's just the
Almost.
national. The total debt is 82.
I mean, what a
That's-
time to be alive. It's like the
That's
fall
just
of the
debt or
Roman
debt
Empire.
and unfunded liabilities.
Yeah.
Let's
I
see,
mean, but
where's
it's like the fall of the Roman Empire, but we have Wi-Fi.
the federal
Yep.
U.S. federal spending. U.S. federal spending this year, $7,289,000,000,000.
Jesus.
The
Just
budget.
call us Nero because we're fiddling while it fucking burns.
The federal budget deficit. The federal budget deficit for this year, 4.227.
Oh my God.
That is a fucking enormous amount. I mean, like, I actually can't.
Here's the best part. Okay, hold on.
That's such a big number
Seven-
that it just ceases to have any fucking meaning.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around that.
Okay, hold on. The
I'm
federal
actually
budget,
looking at
federal
the-
budget deficit right now, 4.227. The federal tax revenue, 3.055.
wow.
That's a lot of money they're stealing from us.
And then people go, well, I don't mind paying taxes because I value my kids' education. Yeah, but that isn't where your taxes are fucking going.
No. No.
Okay, I'm actually watching the debt calculator as we're talking about this. It has gone up almost $10 million since we
Just-
started this topic. 94 and per person in America, $94,494,
Oh my God.
and it just keeps going by about 35 grand every second.
Jesus Christ.
Fantastic, isn't it? All right, let's get on. Let's do a Breonna Taylor update.
Okay.
All right, we got 2 articles on this one. Coin flip. Which one do you guys want to start with? A or B? 1 or 2?
B.
B. Okay.
7. Sorry.
Green.
Well, it's apropos because they're both about him to a
Okay.
degree. Louisville cop injured in the Breonna Taylor shooting threatens lawsuit over being called a murderer.
You murdered
What?
someone. You know, you call somebody who murders someone.
A
Fucking
murderer.
A murderer.
Louisville Metro Police Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly intends to file civil lawsuits against those who have called him a murderer for his role in the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor, according to his newly hired attorney.
That's
Okay,
not
we
how
won't
it
call
works.
you a murderer
If it-
anymore. We'll call you a big fucking vagina. How about that?
That's not how it works. If it's going to qualify as a libel suit,
Okay, wait,
it has
hold
to
on,
be
hold on.
not
Okay.
true.
Hold on. Okay, wait. I want to stop this article right now, and we have to jump to the other one
Okay.
because that paragraph was the perfect setup
Okay.
for the other article. Ballistics don't support A.G. Cameron's claim that Breonna Taylor's boyfriend shot officer.
Which would mean,
Yep.
well,
They
first of all, that
shot
means
them.
that they shot themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Was that
We'll get to it. Kentucky State Police ballistics report does not support State Attorney General Daniel Cameron's assertion that Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, shot a Louisville police officer the night she was killed. Cameron told reporters Wednesday the investigation into Taylor's March 13th death had initially ruled out friendly fire from ex-Louisville Metro Police Officer Brett Hackins as the source of the shot that went through the LMPD Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly's thigh, prompting him and Officer Miles Cosgrove to return fire, killing Taylor. Right, so this guy got shot through the thigh,
Yep.
and then they shot at Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend. Right?
Okay.
The KSP report, that is Kentucky State Police, says that, quote, due to the limited markings of comparative value, The 9mm bullet that hit and exited Mattingly was neither, quote, identified nor eliminated as having been fired from Walker's gun. Cameron said Hackinson had been eliminated as the shooter because the 3 officers all carried .40 caliber handguns while Walker had a 9mm. But appearing later that night on CNN, Steve Romaines, one of Walker's attorneys, said that he had obtained LMPD report showing Hackinson had been issued a 9mm weapon as well.
Oh, hey.
Romaines
You know,
declined.
all I can think of is that scene, remember, from the second Aladdin, where Genie surrounds the
third one.
Prince of Thieves. Oh, third one? Okay, whatever. Where he surrounds the Prince of Thieves with all those SWAT guys, and they go, "Do not attempt to move, or we will be shooting ourselves."
Yeah.
They're all standing back to back to back.
Romaines declined to share the record from Hawkins' personal file with the Courier-Journal. An LMPD spokesman, Jesse Halliday, said she could only release it in response to an open records request. Another attorney for Walker, Bob Egart, provided the ballistic report, which was first reported by Vice. Walker has admitted he fired what he has described as a single warning shot with his Glock handgun at Taylor's apartment because he thought intruders were breaking in. Police were attempting to serve a, quote, no-knock search warrant shortly. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Cameron announced Mattingly and Cosgrove, who were not charged with any crime because they had a right to defend themselves. Hackinson, who was fired in June, was charged with 3 counts of wantonly endangering Taylor's neighbors by firing shots that entered their apartment.
A woman was murdered, and the only man charged was charged because he missed.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now here's
blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's bullshit from there on, but
so here's my question. They say that the cops all had .40 caliber handguns. I'd be very curious to know
they all had 40, but the one cop had
had a 9.
Had also been issued a 9mm.
Right, and I'm getting to that.
Yeah, 9mm was what went through his thigh.
Right, and I'm getting to that. So they say all the cops had 40s. The one had a 9, and then Walker also had a 9mm Glock, apparently, because that's what they stated in the article.
Yes.
Does the department all use Glocks as well? I asked this question because that would explain why they can't figure out whose gun the 9mm came from, because all of the firearms would then be using the same polygonal rifling, and they'd all show up identical.
Well, not quite identical, but similar enough that
close enough that you wouldn't be
much
able
of the
to
projectile left. It's hard.
But
to
wouldn't
tell
like
what
entry and exit wounds tell them which direction the fucking shot came from?
Well, that's the thing. The Walker and Breonna Taylor were in between the officer that was outside that shot into the building and the 2 cops that were inside shooting out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So if it came from one of the cops behind them, it would still have the same trajectory.
Got it. Yep. Okay.
So.
Which means that he probably didn't even shoot the cop that he was charged with shooting, that has been so many of the knuckle-dragging conservatives battle. Well, he shot a cop.
But he didn't.
Yeah, but then he didn't.
Shot themselves.
Yeah, they shot themselves. Jesus.
So, all right, back to the first article.
And with the main, I mean, part of the, like you said, with the mangled bullet, I would be very curious to know what kind of condition that bullet was in on entry and exit, because based on I saw a video actually earlier today that was released, like from a body cam from one of the cops that showed up on scene after the shooting, and you can see the entering hole on the injured cop's leg. It doesn't look like what I would consider to be a typical 9mm entrance hole. So my thought is did that bullet then pass through a barrier before hitting that cop in the leg? Hence why it was so mangled and they couldn't identify where it came from.
Probably, which
where
it
came from.
Yeah, which means it still came from inside the apartment and could still be either shooter, but chances are, based on what they found now, it was not, in fact, Ken Walker.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, okay, back to the first article. So, first article is Louisville Metro Sergeant John Manley intends to sue, blah, blah, blah. Todd McMarty posted a video on Twitter Thursday night that appeared to show Mattingly being put in the back of a truck, a bed, and driven away after he was shot March 13th at Taylor's apartment. In the tweet, McMurray said, quote, "They called him a murderer when all he did was defend himself." McMurray said he represented Mattingly, quote, "with regard to affirmative claims he has against people who call him a murderer. These statements are defamatory and actionable."
Wait, what people specifically? Who is he suing exactly?
And that's
The
not,
American public.
that's
Seriously,
that's
what I was wondering.
that's literally the next paragraph. He said the intent was to file civil lawsuits related to those statements. He did not specify who they might sue.
So basically, he's just everybody. I demand that every person in America pay
was
me.
ever called me a murderer.
This is
Yeah.
like the
Oh.
ultimate fucking Karen move. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't get
Yeah.
more Karen than this.
Like, okay, fine. You don't want me to call you a murderer? Well, based on this, then I guess maybe we should just start calling you a whiny ass little bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, but words hurt.
Earlier this
Could
week,
you
Matt-
get more
yeah.
fucking entitled?
Oh, it's
my
it's
god.
earlier this week, Mattingly sent an email to more than 1,000 of his colleagues saying he and the other officers, quote, "did the legal, moral, and ethical thing the night of the shooting."
No, you fucking didn't. No, you didn't.
If you have to tell people, but even though they know all the details, what we did was legal, ethical, and moral, and you have to keep saying that, what you did was pretty clearly not legal, ethical, and moral.
And let's not forget that very frequently legal does not belong in the same column as ethical and moral. They're usually performative fucking contradiction.
Yes.
Well, and keep in mind too. I mean, there's also that article that I saw today that the postmaster general for the area said that
Yes.
they did not, in fact, get a warrant through information from his office that the drug dealer they were seeking was receiving packages at that address. That was a load of horse shit.
Uh-huh.
I saw that one too.
Nice.
To which my response is, gosh, you mean the cops lied to get the warrant? They lied when things went wrong. They lied in court. They're continuing to lie. Wow, I am shocked. Just shocked, I tell
To
you.
cover their own
Fucking
asses, essentially.
blown away that when people
No.
have that kind of fucking power, they just lie to maintain it. You wouldn't. I don't believe it.
God,
I
you guys are just so on point with the segues today. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Half of all false convictions in the U.S. involve police or prosecutor misconduct.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
What?
What?
Yep.
This is my shock face.
This is an article
Downright
from Reason,
bizarre.
and it says, if you're looking for accountability,
Wah, wah,
we've got some bad news for you.
wah. We have had bad news for you for
For a
fucking
long
years.
time.
Yeah. All right.
It's cited in court, though, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just obey, or was it just comply and fight it in court? I think is
Right.
the copy
Because-
pasta.
That always sounds like just change it from the inside to me.
Well, it's because that's what it is.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Oh. All right. When innocent people are falsely convicted of crimes and later freed, in more than half of the cases, misconduct by police and prosecutors plays a contributing role.
You don't say.
Just shocked face, you guys.
Whoa.
I think that might have to be the title of the episode. Hashtag shocked face.
Yeah.
We need the Pikachu. I really wish my Stream Deck worked with this so I could throw my Pikachu shock face up. What?
I gotta make a note.
I'm just.
Uh,
I am aghast.
Hashtag shocked face.
but
All right,
they're
I am indignant and
servants.
aghast. Yeah,
but they can't do that. It's against the law.
They work for
illegal.
us, damn it. All right. Primary theme of a new report, quote, government misconduct and convicting the innocent, released by the National Registry of Exonerations, which has been tracking all known exonerations in the United States for the past 30 years. Every year they release a report documenting trends in exonerations, how often DNA evidence plays a role in determining an innocent person behind bars, problems with eyewitness testimony, and of course, misconduct by officials. The new report drills into all of the exonerations that have been archived up until February 2019. That is 2,400 cases. These are people who have been convicted of crimes, sentenced, and then later cleared based on new evidence showing their innocence. In 54% of the cases, misconduct by officials contributed to a false conviction. The more
54%.
54%.
The strong majority.
That's just a few bad apples, Andrew.
Including the current vice presidential candidate.
Yeah, no shit.
The more severe the crime, the more likely misconduct played a role when an innocent person was convicted.
No.
The big convictions, they're willing to like lie and manipulate and hide evidence and frame people and everything else just so that they get the convictions.
If you're not cheating, you don't want to win hard enough.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
All
the
right,
rules of gunfighting. I guess that would be.
You're not you're supposed to fight it out before.
If you're gonna run for sheriff, you need those convictions on your record. You know.
Which
Show
we
people you're
Apparently
tough on
not in
crime.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
We have covered it before. In Florida, there was a sheriff's department that knowingly sent like 3 boys to jail so that they could keep like the 100% conviction rate. There's also the Pasco County, which had its whole little minority report thing going.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna predict that these people are likely to kick
And then we're gonna harass them until they do or until they leave.
Yeah.
Okay, so the more severe the crime, the more likely misconduct played a role when an innocent person was convicted. Police and prosecutors in general engaged in misconduct at about equal rates, 35% for cops, 30% from prosecutors at the state level. In drug cases, though, cops were 4 times more likely to have engaged in misconduct than prosecutors.
Yeah, like the Florida cops who are on video planting drugs on people at traffic stops.
When it comes to federal cases, prosecutors engaged in misconduct at rates more than twice as often as police. In white-collar cases, federal prosecutors engaged in misconduct 7 times as much as police.
Jesus.
It's almost like they have their pet projects that they are willing to do anything for.
The most common.
You mean they're politicians? Holy crap!
It's almost like they think they have to justify their jobs or something.
What?
That's
no one
crazy
has
talk,
ever
I mean.
used that for the drug war ever.
I've been inside the government. I've worked for them. I've never, especially around budget time in September, I've never seen people lie, cheat, and steal to justify their jobs.
Nope.
Never in a million years. No one ever fabricates intel or uses old intel and pretends that it's current.
Or fudges the numbers.
WMDs.
Or that has certainly never happened.
Never happened.
I've never seen anything like that.
We certainly wouldn't invade a country over it.
No.
The most common type of misconduct involves concealing evidence, which is evidence that suggests the defendant is not guilty. The National Registry of Exonerations found that evidence was deliberately concealed in 44% of the cases that ultimately resulted in exonerations.
Deliberately concealed.
Read that again.
Deliberately concealed.
Yep. Found that evidence was.
They literally know these people are innocent, and they're fucking sending them.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. They know they're innocent. They are aware of it and will conceal the evidence so that they can convict somebody anyway.
Just a few bad apples.
44% of the cases that were ultimately exonerated. Right. So
Jesus.
in the 218-page report documents that many ways the police and prosecutors break the rules in order to get convictions, from fabricating evidence and manipulative conduct during interrogations to fraudulent forensics and flat-out lying in court.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've read a few where they used a fake bullet and said, "Well, we have the bullet and it matches your gun, like in a bag," but it was a fake one, and they knew it was fake when they brought it in,
Yep.
and lied to them to get the confession. And then like no one bothered to like point out to anybody else that it was fake and it was all a ploy, and then it winds up getting entered into evidence as the bullet.
Like they've never roughed up a witness or manufactured a witness.
No.
Never
Oh,
once.
no.
No.
Not at all.
They've never intimidated or tried to manipulate. Shit, when I was in jail, they walked in, the guy, the detective walked into the interrogation room with me and set down a paper that said, like, you know, that I understood my Miranda rights, and immediately under it was a confession paper. And he was just like, "Oh, I just need you to sign these."
Oh.
And I signed. I read the first one and signed it because it's just saying I was read my Miranda rights. Okay, yeah,
right.
I was read my Miranda rights. I read the next one, and he's like, "Well, do you understand that?" And I'm like, "You mean can I read it? Yes, I can read it, but no, I'm not gonna fucking sign it, you jackass."
Yeah.
And it was like, "Well, then you're gonna have to answer some questions." I was like, "No, because I have an attorney, and he advised me not to answer any of your questions." "Oh, well, then we're done here." And he stomps out all pissed off.
Yeah,
like,
we are
"Do you
fucking
really
done
think
here."
you're gonna manipulate me? Like,
Yeah.
what? Fuck off, you lazy ass prick.
Yep.
Like,
But what happens when a person is ultimately exonerated and the truth of police and prosecutorial misconduct is revealed? Are the police officers or prosecutors disciplined for the behavior?
Hell no.
Often the answer is no. The report analyzed what happened.
Often is kind of a soft word for that answer.
Yes.
How about almost fucking never?
We'll get to the number. The report analyzed what happened with cops and prosecutors who engaged in misconduct and found the same sort of discipline was imposed in only 17% of the cases.
often.
That's
just
prosecutors
83% is just often.
Prosecutors are hardly ever punished for misconduct, even though the report notes that they are equally culpable as cops. In only 4% of the cases did they find prosecutors disciplined in any way for the misconduct.
4%.
Just two had been fired, 3 disbarred, and only 2 have themselves been criminally prosecuted and found guilty of misconduct.
Yeah. So they'll prosecute you all the way into the fucking stony lonesome, knowing you're innocent. Literally knowing that you're fucking innocent. But like none of them, after actually doing something illegal, none of them, like almost none of them, get prosecuted for it.
Something literally, and this is the thing too, is
It's a big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah, well, it's literally unconstitutional. It is against the Constitution what they are doing. They're violating the Constitution, and yet all
the
those
most
people,
basic law of the fucking land, the foundational law.
Yep.
Yeah, and all these people that swear to defend the Constitution and uphold it against all enemies, foreign and domestic, don't seem to be doing jack shit. In fact, they seem to be also doing things that are unconstitutional.
A lot like politicians. Is it any surprise that prosecutors often become politicians? Lawyers become politicians.
Yep.
It's almost like when you have power available at these levels and in these ways, you get shitty fucking people filling these positions. Because only shitty people want that kind of power over others.
God, you guys are dropping so many segues for the next article, but we can't get to it yet until we finish this article. Oh my goodness.
Well, go ahead. What's the next article?
No, we got to finish this one.
Okay.
Police officers, on the other hand, were disciplined in some fashion in 19% of all exoneration cases involving police misconduct.
That's better.
That's still remarkably low, but police are far more likely than prosecutors to be criminally charged with misconduct in these cases.
Because they're just the fucking meat.
Yeah,
they're not the brains of this beast. They're just the
at
meat.
least 30 officers have been convicted. That number may seem low, but the report notes that a single officer may actually be responsible for several false convictions, most notably in Chicago, which has seen a mass exoneration
What? Chicago is corrupt?
No.
No. Next, you'll be telling me that Louisiana is corrupt too.
Or Georgia.
Chicago, or is it like Lake Illinois Island? It's Lake Illinois Island, right? We already determined that it's Lake Illinois Island.
It's like mid shift on the country peanut.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Chicago? It kind of is Escape from New York already, so it's not like that would change any. And
Yeah, I've been to Chicago. I was there for boot camp.
it's pretty much. I mean, you swear you see Snake Plissken occasionally, so it's.
I'm gonna skip a few paragraphs and get to this one. On Monday, after 37 years in prison, Robert Dubois was formally exonerated in Florida for the rape and murder from 1983 that DNA evidence now proves he did not commit.
I remember that one.
He was convicted partially due to the testimony from unreliable jailhouse informants and controversial discredited bite mark analysis. This case is a perfect example of how
bite
much
mark
our
analysis is fucking hocus pocus. I've been watching the
it's up
Innocence
there.
Project, and that shit is
Yeah.
fucking
It's garbage.
It's
Yeah.
garbage science.
Well, because contrary to popular belief, things that people are biting on do in fact move when
Yeah.
bitten, and therefore are not in the same position when you look at the bite mark.
Yeah.
Oh. That's
just crazy talk.
No, I mean, but man, I am shocked that it seems like there's this systemic corruption. I never would have predicted that when all these people, they have the serve and protect on their cars and they all call themselves public servants, that they don't, I almost am starting to think that they don't actually serve the public.
No.
What? Did you
guys see the breakdown of bite mark analysis on that show? Like, it literally, this science quote arose from one dude trying to create a fucking job for himself. Like, that's literally all it started.
It's like one guy had
Wow.
like a tooth fetish and just was like,
Yeah.
God, if I could turn my passion into a job.
Well, yeah, it's basically a
Fetish,
long
but
con
didn't
on
wanna
the
be
fucking
a
government.
dentist.
Yeah. So.
Jesus.
Yep.
Wow.
You were saying, Jason?
Oh, I have no segue now. You guys destroyed it.
Oh.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
kind of, I was trying to get us back into the segue here.
I was gonna say something about police earning a negative reputation to the point where some people say things like "all cops are bastards."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
I can't. Yeah, I may have seen that once or twice lately.
And they still have the unmitigated gall to be fucking shocked and get their egos bruised that the entire country is fucking rising up against them right now.
Well,
Derica, you need to add "Queen of the Segway" on your bio.
Okay.
Texas deployed SWAT bomb robot, small army of cops to arrest a woman and her dog. Why? She had done nothing wrong. State troopers started following her because of, quote, anti-law enforcement rhetoric on her car windows.
Oh.
Those poor, delicate snowflakes.
Snowflakes as fuck. All right. 24-year-old Lauren Mestis was already having a bad day when she noticed a cop tailing her northbound on Interstate 35 heading into downtown Austin. She wasn't overly concerned at first as she wasn't breaking any laws, but the patrol vehicle remained on her tail as she exited in Riverside Drive, headed west. She started to suspect that it might have something to do with the slogans soaked all over the windows of her 2001 Toyota 4Runner. In addition to Brown Pride and Black Lives Matter written across the rear windows were the words, "Fuck these racist police."
I love it.
Nice and subtle.
Yeah. I like how concise it is. You know, I'm a real fan of concise language. Yeah.
2 days earlier, and not even a mile away, a few blocks south of the Texas Capitol in the center of Austin, Mestis had witnessed an off-duty Army sergeant named David Perry shoot and kill Air Force veteran named Garrett Foster, who had been at the BLM protest with an AK-47 slung across his chest, pushing his quadruple amputee fiancée in a wheelchair. At the sound of the gunfire, Mestis and two other young women had fled across Congress Avenue, the main downtown boulevard, and hidden behind the column of the Frost Bank Tower. In the process, she had accidentally lost her cell phone as well as the remote control to open the gates of her apartment complex.
Really keep those in your pocket, kids.
Yeah.
That night on arriving home, she parked in an ungated portion of the sprawling 42-building apartment complex located in far south Austin. Badly shaken from the shooting, she must have confused the spot because when she went the next morning, a Sunday, she couldn't find the 4Runner anywhere. Quote, I was not in a good headspace. I thought somebody had stolen my car.
Yeah, she just the night before witnessed a man murdered
Yeah.
in front of her. Like, yeah, you're going to be a little upset and not quite
Yeah.
thinking clearly.
She called the
human being
city's
doesn't go
she
well.
called the city's non-emergency line to report the suspected theft. 8 hours later, she stumbled across the 4Runner while walking her dog, a Chihuahua named Optimus Prime.
Nice name for a Chihuahua.
Optimus Prime?
No.
Come on.
No.
No.
A Chihuahua should be Megatron. Chihuahuas are clearly Decepticons.
Oh, they're Starscream.
Oh.
Come on, they're not even
Yeah.
Megatron.
Oh, they're
Don't
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starscream.
And she redialed 311 to retract the stolen vehicle report. The operator, Mistis, told me, assured her that the 4Runner's vehicle identification number and license plate number would be removed from the police department's stolen vehicle list and gave her a confirmation number for verification should she happen to get pulled over.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right?
Fair enough.
Monday morning, she went to her job at Planet K, a longtime Austin smoke shop where she was employed as a shift lead. She had yet to recover emotionally from witnessing Foster's murder. Quote, I spent 2 hours on my shift sobbing. I had just seen somebody get shot and killed. I was pretty much catatonic.
Yeah, why would you
Right.
even try to go to work? Like, I
Yeah.
think I'd fucking call in sick.
Yeah. Well, and that probably would have
Yeah.
worked out better for considering what would ultimately happen, because
Yeah.
holy crap.
A little after 10 a.m., her manager sent her to the bank to break $200 into small bills and coins. She took Optimus Prime with her for company. It was-
Prime.
I just
Really?
Yeah.
You named it after a transformer that turns into a semi.
Yeah.
Really? The Chihuahua.
That's a semi-dog.
And
Semi-dog, semi-rat. Yeah. All right. It was on the way to the bank that the cop car picked up her tail. The officer, a state trooper from the Texas Department of Public Safety, later filed an incident report which made it clear that the reason for running the license plate check was that, in his words, quote, the vehicle had anti-law enforcement rhetoric scribbled all over the outside.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was America.
Right?
yeah, he straight up said it. But then it's in the documents that
Yeah.
her expression of free speech that he didn't like was the reason that he began to follow her.
Yeah. He followed her for a mile on Riverside Drive along the south shore of Lady Bird Lake and waited full 5 minutes to hit the lights and sirens. Quote, oh my God, Mastis thought, surprised what have happened. They think I stole my car. She panicked, and instead of pulling over, she came to a dead stop in the middle of the First Street Bridge blocking the inside lane. The spot where she braked to a halt might have well been the precise geographical center of Austin, with Lady Bird Lake flowing beneath her towards Longhurst Dam. Blah 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 blah. It was 10:40 on a weekday morning, and normally the bridge would have been packed with traffic. But 4 months into the pandemic, there was hardly any other cars. The state trooper Garrett Ray was joined by a second DPS officer, Jason Melson. Instead of approaching the 4Runner, they drew their service weapon and took cover behind the open doors of their patrol vehicles.
What?
Because
Not
she has
cover.
a bunch of shit scrawled on her vehicle.
According to
And
Ray's
then
incident
stopped.
report, it was an HRS, or high risk stop, also known as a felony stop. A procedure employed when an officer believes that someone in the car has committed a serious crime and could be dangerous.
Oh my god.
for
The
record,
serious
people-
crime of not respecting my authority.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
much.
I want to point out that I think it's hilarious that their tactic is to take cover behind the doors of their cars as if the thin sheet metal will stop a projectile.
It
Yeah.
does in the movies, Andrew.
So, one
Doors
hour
won't stop
Yeah.
22.
1 hour after Mestis was pulled over at 11:40 a.m., This is the person writing this. I happened to come across the scene by accident. I was riding my bike around Lady Bird Lake, and I counted at least 40 DPS vehicles blocking the south end of the First Street Bridge. There had to be 80 cops on scene by that time, if not 100. The emergency of vehicles included a fire truck, an ambulance, and 2 Bearcat armored personnel carriers.
What the fuck?
Oh my
For
God.
a young woman, her chihuahua, in a beat up Forerunner that says ACAB.
Well,
Well,
it
I
says
can
fuck
understand
these
that response
racist
for the
police.
Chihuahua.
Yeah, it says fuck these racist
It
police.
says fuck these
Well,
racist police.
it also said he mentions it later in the
Yeah.
article. It also said ACAB and other stuff.
Yeah.
But
Every minute or so, a mechanical RoboCop-like voice repeated, "Quote, driver, exit the vehicle with your hands up." This dystopian incantation sounded over auditorium shores where a crowd of people who had been exercising and playing with their dogs had gathered on the sidewalk to watch the spectacle unfold. Like other bystanders, I initially assumed that it was a hostage situation, bomb threat, or active shooter. The first clue that it might be something more farcical or absurd were the slogans soaped on the window of the weather-beaten old Forerunner, which the police had so thoroughly surrounded. From 100 yards
farcical
away,
is the right fucking word too. Jesus.
from 100 yards away in the blinding sunshine, I couldn't quite read them all, but one rear window I distinctly made out had the acronym ACAB, which stands for All Cops Are Bastards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So for the heinous crime of, as Derica put it, not respect my authority,
Uh-huh.
she is set upon by
Yeah.
what, roughly 2 squads worth of police officers?
Yeah.
With a
Oh, you
pair
think
of
all-
armored
You
cars.
think all
and-
cops are bastards? We're gonna prove you wrong, you fucking criminal. And then
Yeah.
act like
And
the
then
biggest
prove us
fucking
right.
bastards
Oh,
ever.
you think we're all bastards? Well, let me show you. Not only are we all
Yeah.
bastards, we're all massive bastards.
You
The
can't say
entire
we're all
response-
bastards unless you've met all of us. So I called everyone.
Oh,
Other agencies were present as well. A U.S. Marshal in boots and jeans, suited up in a bulletproof vest alongside his Ford F-150 4x4. Texas Army National Guardsmen patrolling the side of the bridge, least an amphibious threat, came from the paddle boarders on Lady Bird Lake. City bike cops in blue polo shirts held the outer perimeter.
Oh my
those-
god.
The invasion of the paddle boarders, like fucking.
Overhead, a
They're
police
all in like board
helicopter.
shorts.
Overhead, a police helicopter circled.
Oh my
Technicians in
god.
t-shirts and camo pants were unpacking a drone the size of a coffee table on the pavement. A smaller police drone, consumer grade, was already hovered above the beleaguered Forerunner.
What the fuck?
I had
because of age.
I had only been there a few minutes when APD SWAT team arrived. They pulled up in 8 blacked out Chevy Tahoes with all the insignia removed and commenced to unload an arsenal of military weapons and body armor from big drawers that pulled out of the beds. The sound of multiple firearms being locked and loaded echoed off the apartment building across the street.
Holy shit.
A SWAT
I
sniper
just-
with a heavy backpack went trotting off in the direction of Aussie's, the sand volleyball bar, presumably to find the shooter's nest in the urban terrain.
What the fuck?
A vehicle that
Right.
looked like a refrigerated truck pulled up, and the police technicians placed an antenna on the roof and busied themselves assembling some sort of machine in the cargo area. The surface of Mars would have seemed a more suitable place for that thing that they eventually rolled out there on the First Street Bridge. It was a bomb robot on a platform of tracked wheels the size of an ATV, bright silver in color. It must have been some kind of ultrasonic noise when they booted it up, because it set off a dog walker's clutch of terriers barking. Hold on. Half an hour later,
God.
or half an hour had passed and nothing seemed to happen. Under the glare of the midsummer sun, it was impossible to see inside the motionless Forerunner at 100 yards distance. Some bystanders got bored and drifted away or sought shelter in the shade. A pot-bellied DPS officer in a felt cowboy hat walked
Belly, I love how they
and
I love
began
how
to
they
take
fucking
photos of us.
say that.
A pot-bellied DPS officer in a felt cowboy hat walked up to those of us who remained and began to take photos of us with a digital camera. It was an unexpected thing to do to the unoffending pedestrians, and chilling the way he went about it, coldly making eye contact with each person in turn. But then, if not in their friendliness, that the Texas State Troopers are so famous. Anyway, we were all wearing face masks, and he was on account of the coronavirus pandemic.
How about fuck you, officer pork pie?
So shortly before noon, so she was pulled over at 10:40. So now this is like an hour and 20 minutes later. Shortly before noon, the SWAT team, about 24 men, stacked up behind one of the Bearcat armored vehicles and began to advance on foot toward the stationary Forerunner. Behind them, in line, a half-ton police SUV crept forward at a walking pace, their bright LED light bar flashing silently in the heat. 2 Bearcats boxed in the Forerunner front and rear and physically sandwiched it into place, crushing both bumpers. The big gray police drone hovered directly above like a UFO about to abduct the driver. Finally, the bomb robot moved in and used its mechanical arm to smash a window that said, "No justice, no peace."
Not because anything illegal had occurred.
No,
Literally nothing.
They had
Literally nothing.
literally nothing illegal occurred. They just knew that this chick didn't like them. And this is how they fucking responded.
For a young woman and her chihuahua.
In a beat up old Forerunner.
First generation Mexican American in Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, going down a few paragraphs, it says that she only saw them standing behind her with the cop. She only saw them standing behind the doors of their cop cars with their guns drawn. She never heard their commands, which they made over the megaphone for her to exit the vehicle. Her windows were rolled up, her hands were in the air, and she was too afraid to reach down and switch off her blasting music because they might have thought I was going for a weapon or something. I don't want to give them any reason to think I was a threat.
I guarantee you that's exactly what would have fucking happened too.
Yeah.
And they would have justified it just because, well, it was like you said, it was a high risk stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they never even approached the vehicle because they responded as if it was a felony stop immediately. Yep. So no one ever approached the vehicle to talk to her or anything else. And even if she was sitting there like this with her hands in the air, they're still not going to approach the vehicle.
Right.
At that point, they're going to opt for overwhelming force because they're a bunch of nervous Nancies and they're a bunch of fucking pussies.
I was going to say that because they're cowards.
When you don't have a pair of balls, it is very, very difficult to simply walk up to a young woman and her chihuahua and say, "Hey, ma'am, could you roll the window down? Turn your music off?"
Yeah.
Right.
Because that requires that you have some measurable amount of testosterone in your bloodstream.
Yeah.
Or just some fucking humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. She said she saw the drone hovering by her window and tried to talk to it. Quote, "I was screaming at the top of my lungs, 'Hey, this is my name. Hey, this is my car. You guys are going to look so stupid after this when you realize it was just all messed up.'"
Yeah, they do.
They do. They look incredible.
That was an accurate assessment. Yep. That was a very accurate assessment.
She couldn't believe it when the armored vehicles crushed her bumpers. Quote, "I was like, are you fucking kidding me?" At this point in time, there were dudes in military gear all around me. I was worried about my dog because that's my baby boy, and I don't know if he's going to jump out and how they're going to react. I was trying to tell them, dude, this is a misunderstanding. Someone didn't file the paperwork. I have my driver's license in the car. I have the case number in my purse written down. And they're like, quote, "Don't talk, don't talk."
What? Do you want me to interact with you, or do you not want me to interact with you? Would you make up your fucking mind?
Well, in truth, you should never talk to the cops anyway.
Yeah. The SWAT officers instructed her to reach with her left hand and open the door from the outside, step out slowly, and lie face down on the ground. She was wearing a stretchy black dress and boots, and the hot pavement burned her bare knees. Next, they had her crawl backwards toward the sound of their voices. Quote, "They're all shouting all this stuff at me. Go forward. No, actually back up. All right, go forward. No.
Russian
wrong.
Simon says.
Go back." I was like, what do you want me to do? I'll do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't obey, you die.
Pretty much.
That's why I call it Russian, Simon Says.
Yeah.
She said
you have not listened to Seaman.
Yeah. She said she was thinking about Daniel's favor and she just froze.
Yeah.
Mestis avoided that fate at least. The SWAT officers zip-tied her wrist, jerked her to her feet, and put her in the black sport utility vehicle and transported her to a DPS building just north of the Capitol. The state troopers detained her for the purpose of, quote, CID interview with DPS's Criminal Investigation Division, charged with investigating organized crime, transnational gangs, active shooters, and other acts of terrorism.
For what?
So because she has
government.
Yeah, essentially. But I mean, because she doesn't respect their perceived authority, because she doesn't toe the thin blue line, she's being referred to major fucking crimes.
Yep.
But I mean, what did she do?
Hold on.
All?
They told her she wasn't being arrested, only detained, and took her into a room where she was interrogated by a detective named Bibler, pronounced, he told her, like the Bible. According to Mestis, Bibler asked her nothing about the Forerunner, but grilled her on the subject of Black Lives Matter, her opinion on police officers, and the rioting and looting allegedly taking place in Austin. Quote, he was trying to propagate his thoughts on me. He was like, all lives matter. And I was like, so you agree, black and brown lives matter. He's like, and green and blue. At the time, I had some pretty visible self-harm scars, so he was kind of commenting on that, and he was like, this ain't therapy, dude. Like, nah.
Yeah.
So,
like,
she was released without charges within the hour. DPS returned her Forerunner with the broken window and both ends crushed. She was not offered compensation for the damage, but was thankfully reunited with Optimus Prime, who was rattled but otherwise unharmed.
Fucking sue them. That's dollar damage. Even $1 of damage.
And that's the thing.
She gets
watch it though. She's gonna sue them, and then they're gonna turn around, and the fucking government's gonna give them qualified immunity because they were acting in good faith.
No, good faith would have been walking up and talking to her.
Oh, absolutely. But that's exactly what's going to happen.
Would have been. But yeah, she's going to get qualified. They're going to get
qualified immunity because they were supposedly acting in good faith.
Yeah.
Because one cop was such a delicate special snowflake.
Yeah.
That he was offended, and was like, "Oh, I'm going to fuck this bitch over."
Yeah.
Well, I think that's. I mean, like any attorney worth their salt can have fucking qualified immunity questioned just on those grounds. He already admitted the only reason he started following her was the anti-police stuff on her windshield.
Yeah, her expressing her First Amendment right, and he didn't like it. That's already police harassment. This entire thing is police harassment.
Yep.
Yeah. DPS made clear that the reason for running the license plate check was that, in his words, quote, the vehicle had anti-law enforcement rhetoric scribbled all over the outside.
Which should also be a lesson to everybody. Don't put anti-law enforcement rhetoric on your vehicle. Put a thin blue line sticker on the vehicle, and that way you can drive around and be like, nope, fuck those guys, and they won't bother you.
Yeah. What's
like I told you
the
guys,
nail that sticks out gets hammered?
Yeah. I drove all the way across this fucking country through all different kinds of states with weed and a loaded shotgun in my car, and nobody fucked with me because I have fucking veteran license plates, and I fucking have like camping stickers, like mom stickers on my fucking car, which is a mom-mobile. Like nobody fucks with me because I fucking fly under the radar.
See, the back of my truck is coated in gun stickers, and it says like global warmer and
global warmer. I like that.
Well, I get 9.5 miles per gallon, so
yeah.
Fuck your Prius. I'm undoing 6 Prius.
I have exactly one thing on the back of my truck, and it says freedom isn't free. That's all it says. And the whole reason it's still there is because I'm just gonna fly under the radar, middle fingers out the whole way.
Yep.
I just have the license plate.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to stand out.
Yeah.
My truck.
Well, that's just it. They think I'm one of them, so I don't just.
Yeah.
And I look like a Karen, so nobody wants to tangle with me.
And that point was made really, really strongly to me once, because back when I had my Range Rover, I had a veteran sticker, an Iraq, Afghanistan combat veteran sticker on the bottom left corner, and I specifically put it in the bottom left corner of the rear window so that you would see it as you walked up to the vehicle from behind, like a cop would, and I stuck it there. And I had my air ride suspension went out. So I'm riding on 3-inch safety springs trying to limp this thing home. So the thing, every bump is just galloping through the air, bouncing so hard. And he pulls me over and he just comes up and he's like walking up all kind of, subtly initially. And then he sees the sticker. His demeanor completely changes and he just kind of strolls up and is like, hey, man, I guess license and registration, just so I can see it real quick. All right, doesn't even run it, and it just goes, hey, so the reason I pulled you over is, like, you're bouncing pretty bad. Like, I'm not going to give you a ticket or anything, but, like, you should get that looked at. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know, and I explained what was going on. He's like, okay, cool, well, you have a good night, and then drives away. And, like, that's all it took.
And I'm so surprised I didn't get pulled over when the same thing happened to the Navigator when I first got it. The air ride suspension went out, like, 3 fucking times in a row. 3 different sensors fucking broke. And like I had to drive it all the way to Fredericksburg 3 fucking times doing that hydro shit. Yeah,
that gets real fun.
Yeah, it was like a 45 minute drive. Is that what you want to call it?
I had a 73 F250 that had a loose ball joint. It didn't bounce up and down, but it went left and right when you got to like 30 miles an hour.
Oh, that seems safe and
the death wobble.
Death wobble.
Yeah. The death wobble.
You could go like almost 20 degrees on the steering wheel before it caught.
Oh jeez.
You guys talking about the bounciness of the back end of the vehicle reminds me of the first vehicle my wife had before we moved, before I got the job I'm in now. It was a 98 old Silhouette with air ride minivan. And we were driving along one day and we hit a pothole and one of the airbags actually went, whoo!
Oh, Jesus.
And we're like, uh-oh. Bouncing all the way home.
I ended up having the air ride pulled out and put coil spring suspension.
That's what I what I did to my Range Rover too, is I got the conversion over to springs because I'm like, I don't want to deal with this again. Yeah. And I've been told that once one valve goes out, because that's what happened, one of the valves in the valve block went. Once one goes out, even if you replace the valve block, it's just going to keep developing one problem after another, so just replace it. The one upside, though, to it bouncing that bad is I totally had this really well-endowed chick riding with me, and when it was bouncing, it popped out of her top. It was freaking great, man.
That was a downside for me because I am a well-endowed chick, and I had to drive this thing while it was doing that.
Thud, 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 thud.
Yeah, DPS and APD told The Intercept that the incident was caused by Mesta's failure to report that she had recovered her car. 311 records, however, show that she did place a second call and says she did so to retract the stolen vehicle report.
Right.
So they actually have the paperwork that says, no, she did do this, and it was confirmed, and we gave her this confirmation number and everything else that, yes, it was retracted. And now they're going to just lie their fucking asses off again.
Right.
Despite all easily provable evidence to the contrary, they're just going to lie about it.
Yeah, because they're embarrassed that they poured like a huge pile of fucking taxpayer resources into butthurt, essentially.
Yeah.
Literally hundreds of thousands of dollars went into that.
Yeah.
Undaunted by being arrested in such a spectacular fashion, she rejoined the ongoing BLM protest the very next day. She estimates that she has been to more than a dozen demonstrations since then.
I fucking would have too.
Yeah, I'd be like, all right, you know what? No, this completely confirms everything I suspected.
There's a term for that. What's it called?
Yeah.
Blowback, right?
Something like that.
No, blowback never happens. Like you can do whatever.
That's
nothing
a
bad ever.
Conspiracy.
Yeah.
No, there's no such thing. Operational blowback Afghanistan, and I mean, regardless of who you put in power, Iran, you never have any problems with with anything maybe going south. Venezuela, Nicaragua.
I was just gonna say that.
we just for a second acknowledge the irony of all this happening and the bomb robot using the mechanical arm to smash the window that said "No justice, no peace"?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, that had occurred to me. Like, just were they proving her right every step of the way? Like, if you wanted to make sure that she had no doubts about the reality of cops, you definitely achieved that one, Bucko.
Well, I'm just saying, BLM and Antifa, like, if they had tried, they couldn't have put together a better fucking social commentary performance art piece.
Yeah, they couldn't have either.
Police are abusive. Police respond by being abusive.
Super fucking abusive.
Even if they had orchestrated something like this, like a simulation of it, they would have been criticized for exaggerating and blowing it out of proportion.
Yeah, well, they couldn't have even done it it would have been, their demonstration would have been like 1/10 this intense. Yeah. And they still would have been accused of exaggerating.
Yep.
I mean, a Leslie Nielsen movie couldn't achieve this level of farce.
Yeah.
Using
we were
armored
just talking
cars,
about Naked Gun the other day.
Armored cars and a bomb robot against one scared little girl with her hands in the air and a chihuahua. Like, you can't. So what kind of Mr. Magoo bullshit is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's charging.
He's coming right for us.
Tis but a scratch.
Minority suspect.
To make matters worse, William Barr encourages prosecutors to consider sedition charges for violent protesters.
Oh my God.
That is not a slippery slope at all.
No, what could go wrong?
No. We feel that you are perhaps a danger to the fatherland because you do not seem to be embracing the revolution.
It's funny you say that because Attorney General William Barr reportedly told federal prosecutors to consider charging violent protesters with plotting to overthrow the government if they can prove it.
You are demonstrating counter-revolutionary tendencies, comrade. Perhaps we need to send you to Gulag.
Yeah.
Yep.
Barr's advice came as he warned U.S. Attorney Generals in a call early in September that violent demonstrations might worsen as Election Day draws closer.
You think? Yeah.
when your entire government and all of the media and everybody is pushing astronomical levels of divisionary rhetoric, what the fuck do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, and when you don't listen and you just keep abusing people and escalating,
are you saying that 100 officers, a SWAT team, 2 Bearcats, a patrol boat from the National Guard, and
a helicopter,
and then aerial drones,
and bomb drones,
and a bomb drone that smashed a window that said "No justice, no peace," is excessive?
No,
right?
I'm not saying
I would
that.
never ever overtly say that that's excessive ever.
Yeah, because I don't want to fucking end up on the wrong end of it.
Exactly.
We can't say this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Brandenburg, Ohio.
All right. Among several federal
in Minecraft.
Among several federal charges Barr encouraged prosecutors to pursue, he cited the sedition law, a rarely used statute legal experts argue would be difficult to enforce. In order to bring a sedition case, prosecutors would have to look beyond the rhetoric and prove that there was a conspiracy to attack government officials and that posed an imminent danger.
We have uncovered the conspiracy against the Union. Do not fear. We have dealt with it swiftly.
Yes.
I for one worship our overlords. I just wanna say I fully support and endorse. Yeah. And in no way would ever advocate for anything else.
I will literally change my last name to Brandenburg. Jenny Carroll, a University of Alabama law professor, told the Wall Street Journal enforcing a statute such as sedition would send a message that the government is escalating its efforts to quell violence and might lead to hesitation for people to use their right to voice their opinions.
People are protesting the escalation of force. We have to escalate the force.
We have to escalate force. Look out, he's peaceful. Blam blam.
Oh.
This can't possibly radicalize anybody. Rubber bullet to the groin.
No.
Beanbag to the chest.
It boggles the fucking mind, though. It boggles the mind that they honestly, because they're not like, this isn't a joke. Like they're being hyperbolic. Like this is earnestly being said that they need to charge people who are not peacefully protesting but fight back against the cops with treason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't sound at all familiar.
Well, that's how they can give these people death sentences and make fucking examples out of them. That's exactly what they're after.
That's what they're after. The more of them they can take off the street, the more of them they can execute.
Yeah.
The fewer there are to stand up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't there
a death threat?
Just an article a few years ago about criticizing how horrible it was that in response to the protests in Venezuela that they had deployed, like all these armored cars and violent police and things and charged everybody with treason against the state. And what didn't America completely condemn the regime in Venezuela?
Yeah, but that was there. That was brown people, and that was there.
Exactly.
That wasn't here.
Yes.
That wasn't here.
I actually, the fun thing is, I actually know somebody who was officially charged with treason.
So I had to look it up. I had to look up sedition. For a crime of two more people, to conspire to overthrow or destroy by force the government of the United States or to levy war against them, to oppose by force the authority of the United States government, to prevent, hinder, or delay by force the execution of any law of the United States, to take, seize, or possess by force any property of the United States contrary to the authority thereof.
These people are opposing state governments, not the federal government.
And that's punishable by fines and up to 20 years in prison.
The funny thing is, you can actually, if you listen to that, it's mentioned interfering with the laws being enforced. So technically, you could be charged under that definition. You could be charged for simply failing to report a crime, or for telling someone don't call the cops, or for going, oh shit, my buddy's going to get charged if they find these drugs on him, and chucking them into a sewer. You could be charged with sedition.
What was the one resisting the federal government's authority?
Let's see.
It was the second or third one you said.
To oppose the force, to oppose by force the authority of the United States government, to prevent, hinder, or delay by force the execution of any law of the United States.
So, if you resist arrest of a federal officer, you can be fucking charged with sedition.
Yep, because you're using violence to resist.
Well, you're using force, not
you're
violence.
Using force. Yeah.
Well,
you're using force to resist.
This is a really important escalation by them, because as a point that I've made to a few people not long ago, we're hitting this point where if you are going to start openly opposing government, you are crossing you're crossing your bridge over
literally the entire Boogaloo movement.
Yeah. We are reaching this point where if you are part of that, you are crossing a bridge over the Rubicon. And anybody who's unfamiliar with it, when Caesar was in the process of bringing his army to Rome, to march on Rome, the law was that anyone who marched in arms and crossed the Rubicon towards Rome was automatically in a state of rebellion and was therefore a traitor. And when he had his army cross from one side, from the north bank to the south bank of the Rubicon, when that happened, they then burned the wooden bridges that they had crossed on. Behind them, there was no going back.
Yeah, and it's like John Hancock signing his name so big on the Declaration of Independence.
So signing his own death warrant.
Yeah, after the king said, if you sign that, that's treason and we'll kill you. And John Hancock was like, fuck.
I don't want him to have to put...
you.
Yeah, I don't want it. What he famously said, I wish King George to be able to read it without his reading glasses on.
Or something on those lines,
he signed it without his reading glasses on, which is why it was so big.
All right, quote, if you start charging these people, even if you don't get a conviction, it may make people think twice before going out to exercise their right to free speech.
Or it will galvanize them to
that's my thought.
Openly, because well, if I'm going to do the time, I might as well do the fucking crime.
Right.
Federal prosecutors have charged more than 200 people with violent crimes related to the protests over the racial injustice that have gone on for several months. Most of the charges have been related to incidents of gun crimes, arson, and assaulting federal officers.
Well,
and then it goes on to talk about George Floyd and Jacob Blake. And
you know, this country has a very proud tradition of assaulting federal officers.
Yes. Tar and feathers.
So,
and maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing if Brandenburg, if somebody hypothetically parked a guillotine like right in downtown DC, just left it there. I mean, for no particular reason.
Right in the middle of the Smithsonian Mall.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking it at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, like right there.
But that's further to have to drag somebody from the Capitol.
Right. The mall is kind of right in the middle, so you just drag them each direction.
The Lincoln Memorial's like all the way at the end of the mall and beyond the Washington Monument and reflecting pool. But it's like a fucking shin splints walk from the Capitol building to the fucking Lincoln Memorial.
I mean,
yeah, but then you get to parade them, and you can have somebody ringing the bell. Shame. Shame.
No. I mean,
we don't want to see them naked. I was okay with seeing Cersei naked, but
that's why you have other people tar and feather them.
Yeah, so we don't have to
tar and feather. You get people that are medically trained that don't mind seeing
in Minecraft.
People in Minecraft. Allegedly. But you get those kinds of people to do the actual tar and feathering, and then those of us, once they're all covered in tar and feathers, then the rest of us can parade them about. Shame.
Nice.
Then
we'll have the guy standing just next to it, going, "Bring out your dead."
Yeah.
Bring out your dead. I keep threatening to do that with the way La Crosse County is going with a stupid COVID thing, and people actually, what I really want to do is I want to don a full-on plague doctor outfit and just hold a sign that says "Wash thy hands, ye sinners," and just stand there on a corner.
Well, Andrew, if you need somebody to push a wooden cart around while you walk around going, "Bring out your dead," give me a call. Give me a call.
That's what you can do.
Cops would respond.
You can you can be the Andrew. You can be the flag doctor, right? You can have your wheelbarrow. You just have Christopher lay in the barrel and then just like cough on occasion and moan.
We'll go walk around.
But you have to have a sign on the side of the wheelbarrow that says "dead bodies," but he needs to be alive and coughing in there.
He's not dead. Yes, he is. I'm not. He isn't. Well, you'll be soon. He's very ill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sedition charges for people that speak up against the government, act against them. AG Barr is the same person that, while working at the FBI, defended and got off Lon Harashi for his actions at Ruby Ridge. Right. So this man has no honor to anything except the government.
Right.
No.
No loyalty to the people. Nothing.
You know, and I'll say this: fire purifies gold.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is building a big fire by threatening to charge people with sedition.
Yeah.
You really want to make sure that everyone's super committed. This is a good way to do it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I was just getting ready to say too. I mean, this is.
It's like creating a black market
thing right here. This is if people are made aware of this, which is the thing. I haven't seen this really on any real high-end news, like where people would be right in front of the masses. But
the only place I've seen this article was on a right-wingish 3%-ish site, and there was like 70 comments, and like 65 of them were like burn the liberals, blah 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 blah, that sort of thing, like without a hint of irony that it would be used on them.
Yeah, no irony. You know, and it's so funny that those are the same people that are also stockpiling guns under the Second Amendment to use against a tyrannical government that they're currently saying is sedition for opposing them.
But this kind of thing, like
that's what it is. It's the firearms are used to defend ourselves from a tyrannical government. Oh, just obey the law and take your chances in court.
Yeah. So this kind of thing is it's just like when you enact prohibition on like controlled substances or whatever. You're creating a fucking black market. You're pushing things underground. You're pushing natural human rights underground, where it becomes like a fucking pressure cooker. Yep. And because in for a penny, in for a pound, you're already fucking breaking the law. You're already in fucking danger by that point, just by fucking saying something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then, so you become a fucking outlaw.
Yeah. I mean, the government is tyrannical. The government goes, no, we're not. Here's the Sedition Act.
Yeah.
And wasn't there
the government is oppressive? No, we're not, and we're gonna fucking oppress you for saying that.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that part of what led to the American Revolution was that King George started charging people who opposed taxes as committing treason against the crown.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
amongst
was
other
that,
things.
But I mean that's something that further radicalized people who might have otherwise been on the fence and pushed them to go over that fence, where suddenly now, well, if I even just kind of go, well, I don't want to do that and try to do this peaceful kind of passive defiance, now I'm just as guilty as if I pick up a gun and shoot one of your tax collectors. Well, fine, then I guess I'll pick up a gun and shoot one of your fucking tax collectors, since
because that's what I really wanted to do anyways. And if I'm gonna get the same punishment either way, I'm gonna fucking do what I really wanted.
You might discourage some. A minority will be discouraged who are really, really on the fence, who are like, well, I don't really want.
Here it is right here.
The toe dippers will be discouraged.
1789, right? This is even before the Bill of Rights was ratified. In one of the first tests of freedom of speech, the House passed the Sedition Act, permitting the deportation, fine, or imprisonment of anyone deemed a threat or publishing, quote, false, scandalous, or malicious writings against the government of the United States.
1789. That's 2 years. 2 years after the
Jesus.
fucking Constitution was written.
The fifth Congress, the fifth Congress, 1797-1799, narrowly divided between the majority of Federalist and minority Jeffersonian Republicans, who voted 44-41 in favor of the Senate-passed bill.
And I mean, just again, when people go, oh, well, this country was founded on these values of freedom. No, obviously fucking not.
Yeah. It was a swing and a miss. They were so close, but
they're not even close at this point. This is Wild Thing Vaughn going just a bit outside.
No, I mean like in the beginning with the Constitution and all of that. Yeah. It was a swing and a miss.
I mean, that's the whole reason why Thomas Paine broke so massively from the founding fathers, and why he wound up dying alone with no one at his funeral, because he went, no, you're just turning into the same thing that King George was. You're doing the same fucking thing. Why did we just fight and lose so many of our neighbors and friends?
We're doing it here. We're here and we're doing it.
But it's our
Yeah.
This is our tyranny.
Yeah.
There was a Sedition Act passed in 1917, the Espionage Act, which federal offense to use, quote, disloyal, profane, scurrilous, or abusive language about the Constitution, the government, the American uniform, or the flag.
That was like right after World War I.
The government prosecuted over 2,100 people under those acts.
Yep.
Yeah, right after World War I. Yeah, when they're like fucking trying to root out all the spies and shit.
And that was, and that's something I just was talking, I think, last night to Lindsay about that, where I brought up, if you look back at up until World War I, right, up until Woodrow Wilson, for the most part in the United States, the average American, government has no effect on their life ever.
Right.
They can literally live their entire lives without ever actually encountering any real semblance of government.
Right.
And then you hit Woodrow Wilson and that motherfucker.
Hashtag fuck that guy.
And he drags America into World War I, and to promote America going into World War I, which was, very obviously the result of hyper-nationalism as it was. He then promotes hyper-nationalism and this, we're all in this together, and so we all have to
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Right?
So we're all responsible for each other, and therefore...
Did they talk about flattening the curve?
Yeah, we need to flatten the curve of Hun
the
power.
Spanish flu? That was about the time of the Spanish flu.
Yeah, the Spanish flu hit in, 1916?
18. Yeah.
I thought it was 18.
It was 18 because all the soldiers brought it back to the U.S. after World War I.
It hit in about 1916. It lasted for 3.5 years. There were 4 distinct waves, and there were so many people dying in the United States from it that something like 24% of the American population actually died from the Spanish flu. You had in Europe, the numbers were even higher. Wave 1 wasn't that bad. Wave 2 climbed. Wave 3 was the worst. But either way,
land the plane. Land the plane.
No,
Andrew.
so where I was going there though is, so until you hit Woodrow Wilson and his trying to consolidate all of this stuff in the name of going to war, a war that hadn't been actually directly affecting us, until you hit that point, the average person never
interacted with government.
Yeah, has anything to do with government. And if that had never happened, I don't think any of us would be anarchists. We wouldn't really have justification.
I tell people all the time that if I didn't grow up in California, I probably wouldn't be an anarchist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I had never been in the Navy and held a TSSCI security clearance, I probably wouldn't be one either.
Yeah, pretty much same.
That's why we use the Brandenburg v. Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same, but Army. Like, if I hadn't seen what I saw, and if I hadn't done what I did for who I did it for, I would never have believed that they even did that.
Yeah.
Right. So, government creates
some things you just have to see to believe.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
You guys got anything else? Run your buy
my
book.
Yep.
Yeah, make sure
and don't expect it to be something that it's not. It's not a fucking dissertation.
Read the fucking description. Oh my god.
Yeah. Holy shit, read the fucking description.
Make sure that you understand that Derek's book is a workbook and it's a beginning workbook.
Beginners. It's how you start this subject with your children.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I actually have my kids going through as they're working on their schoolwork from home. They're going through like 3 pages a week.
Of my book?
Of your book.
Nice.
Yep.
How you guys like it?
I'm loving it so far.
Oh, yeah?
My oldest is a little on the fence. She's like, because it's making her realize that she needs to start questioning more things.
Yeah.
And so it's making her uncomfortable. But my son has been paying attention to me, and unfortunately has been watching our podcast. And so he's already more kind of pushed that direction. But
yeah, awesome.
So
you guys getting a lot of good conversations out of it?
With my son, yes.
Cool.
With my daughter, she's still kind of iffy on the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you for enjoying that, getting some value out of it. So it makes me feel good. Makes me feel good.
All right, Derica's book is linked in the description.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, if you are growing a beard and would also like to have a wonderful, luscious beard, such as myself, you will go to thebeardstruggle.com and use code InkedAnarchist15. Get yourself 15% off of all their cool stuff. A lot of it is sold out right now due to COVID, and the factory is not producing what they need. But the beard washing conditioner, which is the biggest thing that I advocate for, is still available. And you can get 15% off, which is like $4 or something. Like, it's freaking awesome. So use it, use the code, get the stuff. They have all sorts of stuff. They even have women's stuff now. They have the beard straightener and, well, not for women's beards. They're not selling to dwarves.
That's
Hey,
sexy.
there are bearded women. Come on now.
Yeah, well,
That's-
I mean, they can
that's
use
sexist.
it too.
Every
Just
woman
stop-
has at
just
least
stop
one
digging
beard,
your hole, bigot.
unless she waxes it.
I would not. I mean, I guess you probably would.
It makes its own
No.
beard conditioner too.
Yeah,
yeah, and,
Jason.
The
Jason.
the beard straightener and volumizer is super neat. I don't think I'd use it on that particular beard, but on your facial beard, it is great and awesome. They have all sorts of cool stuff. Check it out. Again, it's Inked Anarchist 15, all run together. That'll be in the description. Use that discount code, and don't forget to check out Inked Anarchist Hootenanny Roundup, one of the last redacted pages.
Yeah.
Still on Facebook, probably because we're under federal investigation.
Hey, Liberty Under Attack actually was mentioned in an FBI investigation. He has the paperwork to prove that from an FOI request.
Oh man,
So,
I would.
I did a few episodes with that. So
Also, check out RTA, The Road to Autonomy magazine.
links in the description.
Yeah. And I'm actually one of the contributors right now. I'm doing a series on bugging out with a family. So there's a lot of really good information in there on that. I got to turn in my next article by Thursday.
Right. And we have to mention Poppins Patches because
we do.
he is a dude. I have the new Save the Children patch. Has a little pedo symbol being
Nice.
fed into a wood chipper.
Nice.
And the proceeds from these patches actually get donated to Save Our Children. There's another program that is also donated to. So
I feel like the wood chippers are a little like weak. Maybe we need those things that shred cars in junkyards.
well, we don't want it to be too quick, Jerica. They're freaking pedophiles.
It's true.
Well, let's go nice and
But
slow.
The Boogaloo Boys patch also dropped on Friday with Ed, and Eddie. I
Yep,
ordered
I
it
got
last
that
night.
one on the
and
way too.
I am so freaking excited for that one.
Yes, he does. He also does things like the Trump joins Space Force today. He has the Plague Doctor, the Work Hard, Plague Hard, Plague
Nice.
Doctor one. He's got a Ma Deuce.
There you go.
Oh yeah, if you want to rock Ma, you got that. A whole bunch of other ones
Yes.
that are all freaking amazing. He has a Joe Jorgensen one right now
Has
available.
Statue of Liberty, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's the statue of Libertarian, and she's like holding up an AR-15, and
Yeah,
it's kind of a cartoonized Joe Jorgensen. And say he's really, really cool, and definitely support that guy because that company has supported us and supports the Big Boys quite a bit. So
Yep.
linked in the description below also. So nothing else.
I think we're good. I think it's all the plugs we need.
Enough.
All the plugs we need. You can never have too many plugs. All right. On that note,
I could use a couple more plugs. I'm just
Ah.
Where's the doink doinky, Andrew?
Oh shit!
need a different noise for that comment.
Yeah.
Is there a moan sound effect?
That's
Oh, that's
five. We're at 5.
On the Derica snort counter. We have a DS and a DS and a 5.
Yeah. We should start doing that. Terica snort counter in every description. How many times?
I can't help it, you guys.
That's what makes it so funny.
God, most professional podcast ever. So, on that note, this has been episode 107. I think we're going to call it #Shockface.
Yeah. What?
We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Later.